Welcome back. Now I will proceed with walking you through the MapUs report module, which you access over here through Advanced Report. So we press this, and then you will get your access to the report module. So what you see here is the page where you can create all of your reports. This is where you create both baseline and benchmark reports. So up here, we have the link for that specific report. When you press View Report, it will open in a new tab. And then here you, for example, see the entire report for all the respondents in the demo version, because we haven't segmented the data yet. Over here, you can see the preview of the report. This preview is updated in real time, which means when you make changes to the components, for example, you don't want to show in resources or something like that, the preview will automatically change. So this is like a mini version of your report. Here we have the select components. So the components is where you choose what you want shown in your report. So this is basically the visualizations of the report. You can choose between the list that we have here. There are already some default things, some default components added, but you can choose yourself what you want shown here. So I want the total score. Yeah, we're gonna, for example, take something like this. I'm gonna take individual scores as well. Here you can also include competences and specific questions. When you include specific competences, for example, let's take storage and information, then they will get their own page in the report. You will see how this works in just a little while, but they will get their own page. And it's the same with the question. If you have specific questions you want included in the report, they will also get their own page. Down here we have the dataset. So the dataset is basically where you choose what information you want and what data you want in your report. The components choose the visualizations, the data choose the specific data that you want the report to be built on. So here you can give it a data set title. We'll just call it, for the sake of this, we'll call it demo group. We'll call it demo group 1. You can give it a data set color. The color set is just basic RGB coding. You can Google it. So if you want different colors, you just use RGB code. Here you can choose specific users. If you want to make reports on specific users, you can select specific groups. So we're, for example, gonna do management spring for now. Here you can select them by job type, gender, age, etc. What you see out here, the one with the little tick, that is all filterable questions. So the filterable questions are basically, that's questions you can use in the report module. When we get to question building, you will be able to select yourself what questions you want to be filterable. When you select a question to be filterable, it will appear here and you will be able to use it in reporting. This is usually background questions, such as, for example, job type, gender, age, etc. All other questions should not be set to filterable. Here you have minimum, maximum response time. You can also filter it by dates. Yeah, whatever you want. It's very important to remember that your report is dynamic, which means that when we press here, View Report, now we have opened a report in a different tab. This report, until you lock the report link that you have here will be dynamic and it will be dependent on the report module that you see here. This means that every time you make changes in the report module, the report will also update. So for example, you see here we have the report for demo group 1. And you see the menu panel over here. This is all the components that we chose just before. And now I'm going to try and just going to add a question, for example. So we're going to add the terms and conditions. You wouldn't usually do that in reporting, but we're going to do that for now. And we're going to go here, just going to update it. And then you can see the demo report now. It updated. You can see the question, terms and condition over here. So until you lock the report will be dynamic. So when the link is open, it will be dependent on the report module that you have here. So how to lock a report? The easiest way to lock a report is to just press new report up here in the corner. We're going to press new report. And then it just kind of reloads the page. It looks quite similar, but what you've done now is that you have locked the old report, which means that this we have here is no longer dependent on the report module. And now you have logged this report. So if we try and update, nothing happens. The report is now locked, which also means that the report module has now generated a new report link. So if you press view report here now, this is the new report. And until you unlock this one will now be dependent on the report module here, and this will be the dynamic one. So that is how you lock reports. You can also save your reports as PDFs, and you can print your report. You do that by going into the report, and then you press the little print image up here. When you do that, it will just generate the graphics. And then here, for example, you can choose if you want to print it, or you can save it as a PDF if you want to. This is how it will look like if you choose to print it. This is also what it will look like if you choose to save it as a PDF. So yeah, but you will always be able to access all the reports through the links. Of course, when you save the reports as PDF, the reports will no longer be interactive. So now I'm just going to walk you through a specific report and show you how that works. So here you have your report front page. And over here in the About box, you can see the name of the report. You can see how many respondents there are in this report. You can see from what time to what time this report has been collected, or the respondents has filled out the survey. And then you can see the average response time for this report or this group as well. So what's really important, or what's really interesting about the reports, are that all of our reports are interactive. That means that everything in the reports are usually clickable. So for example, let's try, we'll just press the competence area information, and then a long box pops up. So here you kind of get an elaboration on that specific competence area. So up here you see this is the overall score of the competence area information for this specific group. Down here you can see the description of their score. The triangle here is your taxonomy. So here you can see where this specific group lies on the taxonomy and see the description of it. Down here you can see the group distribution for, in this case, information. Down here you can see the user score. And then lastly, down here we have aspects of information. Aspects of information can be interesting because everything you see inside the wheel here are all the questions that are in this specific competence area. So this is all the questions within the competence area information. And these questions are also clickable. So let's try and click a question. We chose file formats. And in here you will be able to see the response distribution for that specific question which is really interesting. And you can also press here, and then you can view the question and stuff like that. And then you can, for example, see here. Your cursor always also makes it interactive, so you can put your cursor over the different bars usually, and then you can see a little bit more information, and you can see the exact percentages of stuff. Yeah. The same thing counts with normal, or like the primary competences, which are the ones that you see inside the wheel. It's kind of the same principle. Here you have the overall score, stuff like that. The only difference between the competence areas and the competences are that if you go all the way to the bottom here, you have your resources. So here you can see the specific resources related to that specific competence. We will get back to how you use resources later on, but this is just to show you that here you can see the specific resources connected to that specific competence. And resources are a really useful way to go from result to action and improvement within a specific competence. Yeah. So over here we have the menu panel. I'm gonna rather quickly go through some of these. The easiest way to learn the report module and learn how to do reporting is just to play around with it a little bit, because it is quite extensive, and you can do a lot with it. So the easiest way is for you to play around with it a little bit yourself. So I'm gonna go through the menu panel quite quickly, but yeah, I will show. So this is your report front page. Of course, these are the components we chose. If you choose other components, it will be a different menu panel. Here you can see the total score. This is the summative evaluation of the score across all the competences and questions within this report. See the description of the score. Here you can see the top 3. So the top 3 are the 3 competences with the highest score within this report. And under that, you can see the one called recommendation. So recommendation are the one with the 3 lowest scores, and where this report or this group would need most improvement. Then we have the one called analyzer. Analyzer is really interesting because the analyzer is it's a small report within the report. And what you can use analyzer for, and we will get back to this because there is a place in when you edit your competences where you can benchmark results. And this is where analyzer comes in. So the analyzer is basically just an interactive tool where you can investigate data by segments and create smaller analysis, and respondents are segmented based on gathered information. So you can see them here. So for example, you can choose to segment your respondents here, either by job type, gender, age, whatever you chose. You can also set the analyzer settings. So the analyzer is a small report within your actual report. Then we have the competence overview. So here you have the list that provides you an overview of all the competences, the average score, and the distribution of users grouped by their score. So you see that here, for example. It's quite a long list. Play around with it. And you can press here for more details as well, and then you will get an elaborated version. Then you can see the individual user score, which is like this. And down here is the specific competence that we chose. You remember we chose 2 specific competences, we chose storage and information, and they get their own page. So storage now, for example, has its very own page within the report. So this is just a bigger version of when I pressed the competence inside the wheel. And lastly, we have the question, and here you can see the response distribution as well. So that's how reporting works, and how you can use reporting. Welcome back. Now you have seen a general baseline report, which is a report with only one data set. I will now proceed with showing you how to do a benchmark report, which is a report where you can compare 2 or more data sets. So it's the same principle. You do it in the same report module. Just gonna close down the old report up here. But what we're gonna do now is that we are gonna add a new data set. So now we have 2 data sets. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna choose what groups or what data we want to compare. So the first one we're gonna call demo group 1. And the second one we're gonna call demo group 2. In here you can also set the data set color for them. We have some built-in codes, but use RGB code. Remember RGB code, but we're just gonna set different colors. And just for the simplicity of it, we're gonna choose 2 groups. So we're gonna compare management spring with, in the demo group 2, we're gonna choose management fall. Yeah. So just for the simplicity, we're gonna do these 2 groups. It's important to note that when you make a baseline report, as soon as you add a new data set, the components will also change. So when making baseline reports, you only have these 3 components available. And that's just because you don't really need anything other than that. So don't get confused when some of the components go away. That is what automatically happens when you choose or when you add a new data set. It's the same thing that applies. Here you can also take specific competences or include specific questions if you want to. So let's see. We're just gonna do, you see we have the preview here. Just gonna press new report. And then we have the new report here. So here you can see the comparison report of these 2 groups that we just chose demo group 1, demo group 2. The comparison report allows you to compare and evaluate the survey results across multiple series of respondents. And you can also compare specific users. You can compare 2 groups that are segmented of different points and dates and time and stuff like that. So play around with the benchmark report as well, because it does have a lot of potential. And over here, it's the same principle. You can see what components you have. You can see all of those over here in the menu panel. We have the competence overview, where you have the list of all the competences, the average score, and stuff like that. The difference is that now you have 2 scores where you can compare them. You can press more detail here, and then you can see exactly what the difference is between the 2 groups and stuff like that. You can see the question overview here as well. So this is just the overview of all the questions in the survey. Here we have the specific competence that we added just before, and here we have the specific question that we had before. So, and it's the same thing. When you want to lock a benchmark report, you press new report and then you lock the old report link, and it will automatically generate a new one up here. So when making benchmark reports, it's important to note that in principle, you can benchmark as many data sets as you want to. You can benchmark 100 data sets if that is what you like. But for the simplicity and for the simplicity of it, we usually recommend that you don't benchmark too many groups or like too many data sets. Like 4 or 5 could be fine, but try to keep it simple because you will kind of lose a good overview if you add too many data sets. But yeah, it's up to you, of course. But that's how you do a benchmark report.